you know, this person is obviously is someone who we can talk to about this.
Well, me too. I mean, it's something that we learned to like.
Oh, of course.
The old, when you say double, I remember the numbers from vet school is 449, where 4 is protein and carbs and 9 is fat. That's how much more it is in terms of caloric. You said double, it's double plus.
But I want to see the correlation here between people and animals, because we may not be off. The whole thing is that we may figure out a way to fix this situation if we can identify, okay, this happens in people too. Here's what we do, and we have to make sure how we can stop it in animals as well.
Well, this is how I think back to when we were hunters and gatherers and when dogs were wild. I mean, we had to chase our food, kill it.
I wasn't around back then.
Okay, but I'm just saying, you know, we were performing, you know, with technology today. What do you have to do today? You sit in front of your TV, you sit in front of your computer. We are much more sedentary, and guess what? While we're sitting in front of our computer on Facebook and listening to Animals Radio, our dogs are not getting walked. So it's a fact that while we're becoming more sedentary, so are our pets.
So are our pets.
You know, and we're busy. I mean, people who are busy professionals, as much as they love their pets, sometimes, especially in this kind of inclement weather, well, it's getting nice now, but in the wintertime, there are tons of animals I see now are overweight because they haven't gone outside pretty much at all over the wintertime.
Begs the question, too, in the U.S., I mean, the majority of states are below temperatures where it is nice outside. So that excuse shouldn't happen in the U.S. as it does in Canada. So, but these are factors we have to look at. And when we're going to put Tony on the line right now. Tony, you're on Animal House Radio. What's going on, big guy?
Hi, Aaron. How are you?
Not too bad. Now, I got to say, Tony, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
And how much do you weigh?
240.
Whoa. He is big, this guy. You can tell. He's going to... And oh, yeah. And how... Richmond wants to know how big your feet are.
Just be careful what you say.
Yeah.
240.
Yeah, no. Now, here's what I want to know is because when you go to the gym... Now, this is maybe something that an assessment that can come into... to maybe animal clinics, is that when you go to a gym, you get an assessment, and they put all these things against you and your body, and they tell you the percentages of fat in your body, like a digital printout. Right, Tony?
Right.
Now, how can now, what does this tell you about a human being?
Well, what we do in the assessment is when someone joins the gym, we check out a few things. Number one is their body fat to muscle ratio, and that's probably the number one indicator to see how healthy or unhealthy a person is. So for men, usually a body fat percentage of 25 or higher is considered a little bit of a risk. For women who naturally carry more body fat, anything over 28 and over 30 would be a risk.
Naturally they do. Now let's turn the cheek on this and say we're dealing with animals. Now, has anybody, odd request, I'm just asking you, has anybody ever asked you, listen, can you do this type of test to an animal?
As far as the testing part, no, but there is a correlation exactly what humans have to go through that animals can go through, and that's just everyday portion control.
So, as Mike, you were saying before, 442, right?
No, 449.
Oh, 449, excuse me.
That's we were talking about protein, fat, carbs, you know, that ratio. Anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
it works, whatever works for humans.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
Probably the same thing for animals.
It is.
So animals break down like calories and fat the same way that you would think that humans do?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Tone, what are some of the tips as someone who doesn't take steroids like yourself and who's at the gym? He's big. He's gonna get me, this guy. I know. But no. What are some of the tips that you would give out as a personal trainer that, you know, say you're a personal trainer and you're dealing... I mean, this is a great market. Just imagine this. Can you get a personal trainer with that machine to... This would be great. I'm like coming up with these marketing ideas right now. We need to get one of these machines in a clinic.
For dogs, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they do have...
Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah. Well, do you agree that swimming's a pretty good form of cardio for people? You know, they have these huge tubs for dogs. They're more for rehab, but they certainly could, dogs swimming. That's an easy way. It's hard to get a dog to run on a treadmill. I've seen Cesar Millan do it with some dogs, but it's not that easy because you have to confine them to some degree. But swimming would probably be great.
Well, I do see a lot of dogs in pools, say down south, as Aaron was discussing earlier, in the hotter weather areas. I mean, that's great. That's fantastic for them.
Yeah.
And it's easier on the joints.
Right.
Now, obviously, if it's an older dog, we're going to have more issues. For instance, sometimes I would think exercise in animals is going to be a little bit harder if a dog is 8 or 9 or 10 years old. There could be issues with hips, joint issues. And these are, once again, the correlation between people and animals are kind of the same thing. If someone is in their 60s or 70s and has the same type of bad hips, bad knees, it's probably hard to get them to work out more and burn more calories and burn more fat. And the exact same thing with an older dog or an older cat.
But that's, and Tony, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, diet I think is even more important than exercise on certain occasions. I've seen 80-year-old guys run marathons and 50-year-old people who are overweight that can barely get up off the couch. So it's, you get it in the diet. If the diet's wrong, you could exercise all you want. It's got to be both. I mean, it's certainly...
Well, it's like as we get older, and I'm sure it's for the dogs as well, your metabolism naturally slows down.
Right.
That's just a fact of life. So basically that's when portion control comes in.
Right.
Okay, so obviously at 60 you can't eat what you did when you were 28 or 30.
Right.
And I'm sure the dogs are like that as well. So portion control is just a huge, huge thing that you have to kind of keep your eye on.
So what is your advice before we let you go to dog owners or cat owners out there who have an obese dog or an obese animal? Obviously, your first advice would be, make sure you go check them out with your veterinarian and to get them on something stable like that. But what is your advice for say, exercise or things like that?
Well, I guess, when you think about a dog being obese, you got to be careful, obviously, with their joints because the extra weight on the joints would be a problem. It's the same thing for humans.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to put a woman who's over 300 pounds and make her jog for about a half hour on the treadmill. It would probably destroy her knees.
So what would you do, for instance, for something like that?
Or the treadmill.
Well, yeah, exactly, or the treadmill. Basically, start off slow.
Right.
Okay? 10 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes a day, easy walking. Okay? Obviously, with the portion control, that will come in hand, and the dog will actually start to shed.
Right.
Okay, just like a human would.
Okay. And then as you get better, of course, even more portion control and increase the amount of exercise, and it's just...
Well, yeah, humans, we have something called, I know you said something about the 449, is that
right? Yeah, just
okay.
like a ratio of protein,
right.
Carbs, and fat.
Humans have that too. We do the 40-30-30 rule.
So okay.
40% protein, 30% carbohydrates, and 30% good fats.
Same principle.
Same principle. So with that in mind, and the added exercise, and of course portion control, remember, you want to take in less calories so you can burn what you have in storage.
Right. And I think this is the great part when you have to see your vet because there are so many foods that are specialized in these types of things where they give you a certain amount of calories. They help you in these situations. But it's a combination of getting them on a special diet, the right diet, especially for the age of the animal. And that's when you need to go see a guy like Dr. Mike or any local veterinarian that you have. And obviously certain breeds may even pay. Mike? What is the one breed that is always fat?
Your dog.
Labradors?
Labrador. Well, retrievers are always the worst.
Retrievers are always worse?
Yeah.
And what are ones that are like anorexic and skinny and make themselves throw up after just because they want to be part of the crowd?
Okay.
Well, there has to be.
We don't have any bulimic dogs out there, but greyhounds tend to be the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, the real skinny guys that never... You got to beg them to put on weight. Is that true? There's certain populations of humans, I'm sure you'll agree, Tony, that are from certain countries that just are naturally have a higher metabolism.
You've heard of the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically, everyone from that region, I have an Italian background, and when I look at my cousins here, they're all kind of fat. But if you look at the ones back home,
yeah,
they're like, wow. So it could be the region, the area, the air,
right?
Just the way they've been brought up differently, and of course, maybe the biggest thing is natural, organic foods.
Right.
Tony, we appreciate everything. How can anybody get in touch with you if they have any more questions for, I guess, personal training, or for any other questions? They want to train themselves. They want to get they want to get in shape, and they want to use their animal to get in shape at the same time, and maybe work in correlation with that.
You can reach me at the Premier Fitness at Yorkdale, and the number is 416-785-5832.
Tony, thank you so much for being on Animal House Radio.
Not a problem, gentlemen.
Take care.
It's very interesting what he said. It's the same thing what you said. It's just you have to do it, but you can't do it all at once. It has to be slowly in progression.
Definitely.
And it's interesting, and that you said it's a 449, and he's saying it's the 430-30.
Well, no, that's just
that's the way that it burns off. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's very interesting that it's the same type of thing. Now, here's something that I have to ask you that's off the topic, but on the topic. Labradors are very common to get fatty tumors.
Right.
Now, this is from what I read. It's a common thing, but it's a common thing when a Labrador gains a lot of weight.
It's just like people. I mean, when you tend to put on weight, you will have. It's all about fat storage, and so you will get these little lipomas, which are benign fatty tumors, but they're necessary. Your fat's growing.